20 years ago, the Blackthorne Mansion was sealed forever. Nobody entered, nobody came out. But last night, every light inside turned on. The mansion had been dead for 20 years. So when the lights turned on at exactly 2:13 a.m., the whole town froze. But nobody knew the scariest part yet. Rain hammered the streets of Hollow, creaked like nails against glass. While most of the town slept behind locked doors, at the edge of the hill stood Blackthorne Mansion, silent and rotten beneath the storm clouds. The place had become a warning parents used for their children. Stay away from the hill, stay away from the house, because 20 years earlier, the Blackthorne family disappeared in one single night, without leaving a body behind. People said the house was cursed. Others believed the family escaped after losing their fortune, but nobody truly knew. And after years of broken windows, rusted gates, and police tape fading beneath the sun, the mansion became part of the darkness itself. Until tonight, old Walter Briggs was closing his gas station when he noticed at first a faint golden glow flickering through the mansion windows, high above the hill. At first, he thought lightning was playing tricks on his eyes, but then another room lit up, then another. One by one, the entire mansion came alive. Walter's cigarette slipped from his fingers. "That's impossible," he whispered. The electricity had been cut 20 years ago. Within minutes, half the town stood outside in the rain, staring toward the hill. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The glowing windows looked almost warm, almost welcoming, but something felt deeply wrong. The lights weren't random. They moved room by room, like someone was walking through the house, turning them on slowly. And then, a shadow appeared behind the top floor window, a tall figure, watching the town. But when the lightning flashed again, the figure was suddenly much closer than before. Nobody wanted to go near the mansion, but one man in town looked more terrified than everyone else, because he knew something about that house, something he had hidden for 20 years. Sheriff Daniel Reeves arrived just after midnight, his truck headlights cutting through the heavy rain. While nervous, townspeople crowded the road below Hollow Hill. Everyone kept talking at once. Some pointed toward the glowing mansion windows, while others begged the sheriff to shut the place down again. But Daniel barely listened. The moment he looked up at Blackthorne Mansion, the color drained from his face, because he remembered that night. 20 years earlier, Daniel had been a rookie deputy standing outside those same gates when the Blackthorne family vanished. He still remembered the screaming coming from inside the mansion, the sound of glass breaking, the sudden silence afterward, and most of all, he remembered the order the town mayor gave him before sunrise. Seal the house. Tell everyone nothing was found. Daniel had obeyed. He was young, scared, and desperate to protect his career. But for 20 years, guilt followed him like a shadow. He knew the official story was a lie. Something had happened inside that mansion, something the town covered up. The rain intensified as Daniel slowly stepped out of his truck. His flashlight trembled slightly in his hand. "Sheriff, you're not actually going in there, right?" Walter asked quietly. Daniel didn't answer. His eyes remained fixed on the top floor window where the figure had appeared minutes earlier. The strange part wasn't the shadow itself. It was the movement. The figure didn't walk like a normal person. It almost floated, stiff and unnatural. Then every light inside the mansion suddenly shut off at once. Darkness swallowed the hill completely. Several people screamed. For a few seconds, the entire town stood frozen beneath the storm. No lights, no movement, nothing except rain and thunder. Then Daniel's police radio crackled violently with static, and through the noise, a weak voice whispered, "Help me." Daniel's blood turned cold, because he recognized the voice immediately. It belonged to Eleanor Blackthorne, the woman who disappeared 20 years ago. The gates hadn't opened in 20 years, but the moment Sheriff Reeves touched them, they slowly creaked open by themselves, and deep inside the mansion, something was already waiting. The crowd begged Daniel not to go inside, but he ignored them. Rainwater dripped from his coat as he climbed the hill toward the Blackthorne Mansion alone. Every step felt heavier than the last. The rusted iron gates stood motionless ahead of him, wrapped in vines thick as ropes. Yet when he reached for them, They groaned open on their own. A cold silence swallowed him instantly. The town below suddenly felt very far away. Daniel stepped onto the mansion porch carefully, his flashlight cutting through layers of dust and darkness. The front door was slightly open. That alone made his stomach tighten. He remembered sealing this place. Himself 20 years. Ego, chains, locks, police tape. Nobody should have been able to enter. But something felt wrong immediately. The house didn't smell abandoned. It smelled lived in. Faint warmth drifted through the hallway as if fireplaces had burned only hours earlier. The giant chandelier above him flickered weakly while portraits of the Blackthorne family stared from the walls. Their painted eyes seemed almost alive in the dim light. Daniel tried to steady his breathing. Then he heard it. A piano, soft notes echoing from upstairs. Daniel froze. He remembered Eleanor Blackthorne playing piano during town events years ago. The same slow melody floated through the mansion now, delicate and haunting. His flashlight trembled as he climbed the staircase one careful step at a time. But halfway up, he noticed fresh footprints in the dust. Barefoot prints, small ones, a child's. What the hell? He whispered. The footprints led toward the second floor hallway, where faint golden light spilled beneath a closed door. The piano suddenly stopped. Complete silence followed. Daniel slowly reached for the doorknob. His heart pounded harder with every second, and when the door creaked open, his flashlight revealed a dining table covered with fresh food still steaming in the darkness. Plates were set perfectly. Candles burned calmly. It looked like someone had been expecting guests. Then Daniel noticed one final detail. At the head of the table sat a single photograph, a picture taken the night the family disappeared. But someone had scratched out every face, except his, and behind him, a woman's voice quietly whispered, "You finally came back." Daniel knew that voice, but hearing it inside the mansion after 20 years felt impossible because Eleanor Blackthorne was supposed to be dead. Daniel spun around so fast, his flashlight nearly slipped from his hand. The hallway behind him was empty. Only darkness stretched across the second floor while rain battered the tall windows beside him. But the voice had sounded real. Soft, calm, close enough to breathe against his neck. "You finally came back." Daniel backed slowly into the dining room, panic rising inside his chest. His mind screamed for him to leave, yet his feet refused to move. Something in the house wanted him there, something patient. Then the grandfather clock downstairs suddenly began to chime. 1, 2, 3. Each heavy sound echoed through the mansion like a heartbeat, and with every chime, more lights flickered on downstairs by themselves. Daniel hurried toward the staircase, following the strange glow below. But halfway down, he noticed a door slightly open beneath the stairs, a basement door. His stomach tightened instantly. 20 years ago, the mayor had ordered deputies to search only the upper floors. Nobody was allowed near the basement. Daniel remembered questioning it at the time, but fear and loyalty kept him silent. Now, staring into the darkness below, he realized the truth had been hidden there all along. The air grew colder as he descended the narrow steps. His flashlight revealed old shelves, broken furniture, and thick dust untouched for decades. But near the back wall, something looked newer, a metal door. Fresh scratches covered the outside, as if someone had tried desperately to escape. Daniel pushed it open slowly and froze. Inside the hidden room were dozens of newspaper clippings covering the walls, missing person reports, old town photographs, Blackthorne family pictures. In the center stood a wooden chair, facing an old television still humming with static. Then Daniel saw the photograph taped beside the screen. It showed the mayor standing beside several wealthy men from Hollow Creek, and behind them stood Eleanor Blackthorne. Bound and terrified, Daniel's breathing stopped completely. The family never disappeared. The town had betrayed them. Suddenly, the television screen flickered alive through the static. Grainy footage appeared from 20 years earlier. Daniel watched himself on screen, helping seal the mansion gates while Eleanor screamed from somewhere inside the house. Tears filled his eyes instantly. He hadn't protected the town that night. He had helped bury the truth. Then the static cleared completely, and Eleanor appeared on the screen whispering, "He's still here." Daniel finally understood the truth. The Blackthorne family hadn't vanished on their own. Someone had trapped them inside the mansion, and one person never escaped. The television screen buzzed violently before going black again. Daniel stood frozen in the hidden basement room while rain thundered above the mansion ceiling. His hands shook uncontrollably now. Every lie the town buried for 20 years was collapsing around him piece by piece. Then he heard it, a slow knocking sound from inside the walls. Daniel turned carefully toward the far corner of the basement. Knock, knock, knock. The sound came again, weak but deliberate, as if someone trapped behind the wood was begging to be found. His flashlight swept across cracked wallpaper until it landed on deep claw marks running along the wall panels. Something terrible had happened here. Daniel stepped closer and pushed against the damaged wood. At first, nothing moved. Then part of the wall suddenly cracked inward, releasing a horrible smell of dust, mold, and decay. Behind it was a hidden passage, narrow, pitch black, barely wide enough for a person. The knocking stopped completely. Daniel forced himself forward, his breathing shallow as the beam of his flashlight revealed old pipes and rotting beams. The tunnel stretched deep inside the mansion, walls like a maze built to hide secrets forever. And then, near the end of the passage, he found a small locked room. The door was covered in scratches from the inside. Daniel kicked it open. His flashlight revealed a rusted bed, chains bolted to the wall, and dozens of faded drawings scattered across the floor. Most were made by children, pictures of the mansion, the town, and one terrifying image repeated again and again, a tall man with hollow eyes standing beside the mayor. Then Daniel noticed movement in the darkness ahead. A figure slowly stepped into the flashlight beam, thin, pale, barefoot, an old man with sunken eyes and trembling hands. Daniel staggered backward in horror, because he recognized him instantly. Samuel Blackthorne, the missing father, still alive. Tears rolled down Samuel's face as he whispered with a broken voice, "They locked us away because we knew what they did to this town." Daniel's chest tightened painfully. 20 years. 20 years trapped inside darkness, while the town pretended the family vanished. But before Daniel could speak again, Samuel looked past him toward the tunnel entrance. In pure terror, "No," he whispered shakily. "He found you too." Heavy footsteps echoed slowly through the walls behind Daniel, coming closer, and then the flashlight beam revealed a second figure standing silently at the end of the tunnel. The mayor, holding a shotgun. The mayor had protected the town's secret for 20 years. Anyone who learned the truth disappeared. But tonight, the mansion itself refused to stay silent. The shotgun trembled slightly in Mayor Whitmore's hands as he stepped deeper into the tunnel. His expensive coat was soaked from the storm above, but his eyes remained cold and empty. Daniel slowly raised his flashlight toward him while Samuel Blackthorne backed into the corner like a terrified animal. "You should have left this buried, Sheriff," the mayor said quietly. Daniel's anger finally exploded. "You imprisoned innocent people for 20 years. Whitmore's jaw tightened. They were going to destroy this town. The mills were closing. Investors were leaving. If people discovered what the Blackthorns knew, Hollow Creek would have died." Samuel's weak voice echoed through the tunnel. "So you buried us instead." For a brief moment, guilt flickered across the mayor's face. Then it vanished. A loud crack of thunder shook the mansion above them. Suddenly, every light inside the tunnel flickered violently. The walls groaned. Dust rained from the ceiling. The old mansion sounded alive now, angry. Whitmore aimed the shotgun directly at Daniel. "You were never supposed to remember that night." But before he could pull the trigger, the entire tunnel shook again. The lights burst on one by one through the hidden passage, brighter than before. Samuel stared upward with tears in his eyes. "She's here," he whispered. Then the mansion went completely insane. Doors slammed upstairs. Chandeliers crashed. A deafening scream echoed through the walls, as if the house itself had carried 20 years of pain. Whitmore panicked and fired blindly into the darkness, but the floor beneath him suddenly collapsed. He vanished into the shadows below with a horrifying scream. Silence followed. Only rain remained. Hours later, police cars surrounded Hollow Hill. While sunrise slowly touched the mansion windows, Samuel Blackthorne was carried outside wrapped in blankets, barely alive but finally free. The entire town watched in stunned silence as the truth spread through Hollow Creek. And then Daniel looked back toward the mansion one final time. A woman stood calmly beside the upstairs window. Elegant white dress, pale face, soft eyes. Eleanor Blackthorne. She smiled gently at him. Then the lights inside the mansion shut off forever. To this day, nobody has entered Blackthorne Mansion again, but sometimes during storms, the lights still turn on by themselves.